welcome to the Room of Requirement. My name is Megan, and I have over 25 years of occult and esoteric study and practice. And today I'm going to be talking about a subject I'm very passionate about, Renaissance era spirituality, alchemy, astrology, and magic, spirituality in the Renaissance era, and how it influenced modern spiritual practices. So, the Renaissance era really kicked off a lot of foundational practices that we still utilize today. A lot of the modern occultists from the probably around the 1840s up until about the early 1900s, up until the 30s and 1930s and 40s, you had all of the secret orders, the occult orders. You had the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, Rosicrucians, Freemasons, all of them. So what they were doing, they were compiling all of the spiritual information, the manuscripts, codices, practices. They were translating those from other languages and trying to combine them all. And their goal was to revive all of these things and piece all of these things together, so that they could be understood and then practiced in the modern era. And so the Renaissance era kind of had another resurgence during that time, and during the spiritualism movement, and then up until like the 1940s, and then around the 1960s, 70s, then you had the New Age movement. So everything that they practiced in the Renaissance era had a major influence on what we practice today. And from everything from psychology to philosophy to astrology, astronomy, alchemy, all of those things. So I hope you guys really enjoy this one, and let's just go ahead and dive right in. Okay, so Renaissance spirituality, magic rituals, and spiritual practices. The Renaissance was a period of profound transformation in Europe, marked by a resurgence of interest in the arts, science, and the esoteric. During this time, magic rituals and spiritual practices played a crucial role in shaping the spiritual landscape. We will delve into the foundational elements of Renaissance spirituality, highlighting the key rituals and practices that defined the era. The context of Renaissance spirituality. During the Renaissance, there was a renewed interest in the ancient wisdom of classical antiquity. This era saw the confluence of various philosophical and spiritual traditions, including Neoplatonism, Hermeticism, and Kabbalah, each contributing to the development of a unique spiritual framework. Key influences: Neoplatonism, a philosophical system that emphasized the spiritual reality and the ascent of the soul towards the divine. Hermeticism, based on the writings attributed to Hermes Trismegistus. This tradition focused on the divine connection between the microcosm and the macrocosm. Kabbalah, a mystical form of Judaism that explored the nature of the divine and the process of creation. Magic rituals. Magic rituals during the Renaissance were seen as a means to access higher realms of knowledge and power. These practices were based on the belief that the material world was interconnected with the spiritual realm. Common rituals. Astrological magic. Practitioners used the positions of the stars and planets to influence earthly events. This involved creating talismans and performing rituals at astrologically significant times. So another term for this is astrotheurgy. And then there was alchemy. While primarily known for its goal of transforming base metals into gold, alchemy was also a spiritual practice aimed at the purification and perfection of the soul. Then there's theurgy, a form of magic that aimed to invoke the presence of divine beings through elaborate rituals and incantations. Spiritual practices. Beyond magic, the Renaissance was also a time of deep spiritual exploration. Individuals sought personal enlightenment and a direct connection with the divine through various practices. Some notable practices: meditation and contemplation. Inspired by Neoplatonic and Christian mysticism, meditation was used to attain spiritual insight and inner peace. Prayer and devotion. Personal prayer and devotional acts were central to Renaissance spirituality, often focused on achieving a closer bond with God. Mystical experiences. Many sought mystical experiences as a way to perceive the divine truths beyond the physical world. Prominent figures. Several key figures emerged during the Renaissance who were instrumental in shaping its spiritual practices. Here are some influential practitioners. Marsilio Ficino. A key figure in the revival of Neoplatonism, Ficino translated many ancient texts and emphasized the harmony between faith and reason. Giovanni Pico della Mirandola, known for his Oration of the Dignity of Man, Pico advocated for the reconciliation of various philosophical and religious traditions. Then there was Cornelius Agrippa, an influential writer in occult philosophy. Agrippa's work synthesized magic, religion, and science. Blending ancient wisdom with contemporary thought. The magic rituals and spiritual practices of the Renaissance were foundational to the era's spirituality. Blending ancient wisdom with contemporary thought, they offered individuals a means to explore their relationship with the divine and the universe, influencing not only the spiritual landscape, but also the cultural and intellectual developments of the time. Though these practices, the Renaissance left a lasting legacy on the journey of spiritual discovery. The history of Renaissance spirituality. The Renaissance was a period that spanned from the 14th to the 17th centuries, marked by a renewed interest in art, culture, and knowledge. This era brought about a profound transformation in spiritual practices, characterized by a revival of classical ideas and a quest for deeper spiritual understanding. We will explore a detailed timeline, key events, spiritual practices, notable figures, and the various traditions that shaped Renaissance spirituality. Timeline and key events. 14th century, which would be the 1300s. The seeds of the Renaissance were sown in Italy, particularly in Florence. Notable figures like Petrarch began to revive classical literature. The fall of Constantinople in 1453 led to an influx of Greek scholars into Italy, further igniting interest in ancient texts. 15th century, humanism emerges as a dominant intellectual movement, emphasizing the study of classical texts and the potential of human achievement. Figures such as Marsilio Ficino translated Platonic works, blending them with Christian thought. 1517, Martin Luther's 95 theses sparked the Protestant Reformation, challenging the Catholic Church's practices and doctrines. This resulted in the fragmentation of Christianity and a surge in alternative spiritual explorations. 1543, Nicolaus Copernicus published De Revolutione Nubis Orbium Coelestium, sorry, I'm probably butchering that, which proposed a heliocentric model of the universe, setting the stage for the scientific revolution and influencing spiritual and philosophical thought. 16th century. The rise of the new religious movements led to increased spiritual diversity. Figures like Giordano Bruno, expanded on Hermetic and Neoplatonic ideas, advocating for a more personal relationship with the divine. 17th century. The scientific revolution began to reshape perceptions of the universe, influencing both spiritual and philosophical thought. This era saw the emergence of rationalism and empiricism, challenging traditional spiritual beliefs. Spiritual practices and beliefs. Alchemy was a multifaceted discipline that transcended mere attempts to transform base metals into gold. Practitioners viewed alchemy as a spiritual journey, symbolizing the transformation of the soul. Alchemical texts often contain rich metaphorical language, suggesting that physical processes mirrored inner spiritual enlightenment. Greek philosophy. The revival of Greek philosophy, particularly the works of Plato and Aristotle, played a vital role in shaping Renaissance thought. Humanists integrated philosophical reasoning into spiritual practices, emphasizing the importance of human intellect and potential in understanding the divine. Hermeticism. Hermeticism, based on writings attributed to Hermes Trismegistus, or you'll hear another name is the Hermes Thrice Great, emphasized the unity of the divine and the material world. This tradition significantly influenced esoteric thought, encouraging individuals to seek hidden knowledge and spiritual truth through personal experience and introspection. Mysticism. Renaissance mysticism focused on achieving direct experiences of the divine. Their writings offered insight into the mystical journey and the soul's longing for union with God. Renaissance mysticism was influenced by Neoplatonism and the study of figures such as the pseudo-Dionysus and Areopagite, or late 5th to early 6th century. The quickening of this religious impulse that gave rise to Christian humanism was also manifested in a variety of forms of religious devotion among the laity, including mysticism. In the 14th century, a wave of mystical ardor seemed to course down the valley of the Rhine, enveloping men and women in the rapture of intense, direct experience with divine spirit. It centered in the houses of the Dominican order, where friars and nuns practiced the mystical way of their great teacher, Meister Eckhart. This wave of Rhenish mysticism radiated beyond convent walls to the marketplaces and hearths of the laity. Gnosticism. Although Gnosticism originated in the early centuries of Christianity, its themes of secret knowledge and spiritual enlightenment gained traction during the Renaissance era. Thinkers explored Gnostic ideas about the divine, often seeking to reconcile them with contemporary Christian beliefs. Paganism. A revival of interest in ancient Roman and Greek religions marked the Renaissance. This included a fascination with nature, mythology, and the pantheon of gods and goddesses. Renaissance thinkers sought inspiration from these traditions, fostering a more holistic understanding of spirituality. Notable figures: Marsilio Ficino, from 1433 to 1499. A pivotal figure in the revival of Neoplatonism, Ficino translated Plato's works into Latin and wrote extensively on synthesizing Christian and Platonic thought, which greatly influenced Renaissance spirituality. Giordano Bruno, 1548 to 1600, an Italian philosopher and mystic who embraced Hermeticism. He advocated for an infinite universe and was executed for his heretical beliefs, challenging the established religious and scientific paradigms of his time. Paracelsus, 1493 to 1541. He was an astroherbologist, by the way. A Swiss physician and alchemist who revolutionized medicine by integrating spiritual principles with medical practices. He viewed alchemy as a spiritual science, emphasizing the interconnectedness of the human body and the cosmos. Pico della Mirandola, from 1463 to 1494. He was renowned for his oration on the dignity of man. He sought to harmonize various religious traditions and emphasize the potential for human spiritual ascent, reflecting the Renaissance ideal of humanism. In conclusion, Renaissance spirituality was characterized by a syncretic approach, blending ancient wisdom and contemporary religious and philosophical thought. This era of spiritual exploration laid the groundwork for modern spiritual and philosophical movements, emphasizing knowledge, unity, personal transformation, and a quest for deeper understanding. The Renaissance was not merely a rebirth of art and science, but a profound reawakening of the human spirit, reshaping how individuals approach spirituality and their place in the universe. Okay, you guys, I hope you enjoyed that one. If you guys have any questions or comments, opinions, I'd love to hear what you guys have to say in the comments. I've got a few other things that I'm working on that are really interesting coming down the pipeline. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.